committee meetings scheduled. There will likely not be much of a change because when we did our when we went out to bid for our health insurance, they really did kind of more of a 2-year rate guarantee, so there won't be a ton of volatility with that. So he was working with Leah to find a date to get the benefits committee together. And then the only thing that would be outstanding likely after that conversation would be waiting on stop loss. That usually comes in a little later. Once we get closer with some of those high places. So we can get the benefits committee together and then circle back on that. But hopefully I can get that by tomorrow. And
high school committee.
We met on the 17th. I have no idea what day that was, but I knew it was the 17th. So we had one after school meeting and then one before school meeting, just because with coaching and whatnot. Some of our classroom educators who are coaching in other activities could make one, but not the other. And this is just kind of a copy of our agenda. And there are two things in particular that I think are most important. Towards the bottom of the agenda, where you see the bolded description of AI. So it's highlighted and bolded. Academic intervention is a time within the bell schedule for students to access academic interventions, visit educators/tutors for academic support and/or extension, engage in college and career readiness activities, complete assessments and diagnostic exams, engage in social emotional learning, including but not limited to meeting with student clubs/organizations, and participate in school events or initiatives. This time allows the district to meet KSDE requirements. That is the description that we felt as a committee everybody could agree on. We felt it kind of encaptured all of the purposes of AI, still allowed some flexibility per building. We started kind of talking a little bit about the variation of prep, and we learned that not only are administrators and classroom educators not on the same page in terms of an understanding of prep, but even within just the educators doing AI. Because if you're doing interventions, the amount of prep is different than lesson provided to you that doesn't require specialized knowledge. So you can kind of see on the document that we were talking back and forth about some potential language. And I think we just came to the agreement that we maybe aren't there at this point and trying to figure that out. I know middle school probably will have a similar conversation. So we didn't agree on any language about prep, just the bolded part. Clint, what am I missing on AI?
No, that was good. It was all good discussion. Differences in perspective and what role, even amongst educators, what role they could fill during that time. And then two, it was interesting. Most buildings try and compensate some time, especially for some of those that may be more involved in lesson prep or something, but children do it a little bit differently, whether it be at the high school level, their supervisory period, or some other sort of time that they kind of comp them out for some of that prep. But it was not real consistent, and we just want to make sure everybody's doing that if they were to be doing that, and how what that looks like. So just more information and research probably needs to be done to flesh out that first time.
And I really appreciated hearing some of the principals shared like the different methods they used. So I was familiar with what Chris at my school did to kind of try to equalize, and have a duty is not quite the word I want to say, but by nature, there's just no way to make it perfectly equal. How each principal approached that, and then when other principals were talking what they did, I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So I think there's just a lot of collaboration that maybe can happen there to give people even more ideas on how to make it more equitable. Although I don't know if absolute equality is ever going to be possible, but I think that's still an interest. We just didn't necessarily see that maybe language was at least at this particular point, the way to go. And then on the other side, the high school bell schedule, minus the lunch times. So you can pretend those lunch times aren't on there.
Yeah, that question came up, and I talked the other day, and really that was just kind of some sample lunch times, but it really varies upon building because of their physical space. Some can run 3 lunches, some have to run 4, so, but ultimately, that look, what's in the P&A right now under high school stuff really doesn't have a specific lunch time. It just has that block of time and it designates 25 minutes of lunch. So again, because of the physical setup of some buildings, some can run more lunch shifts than others. So we would just take out the actual lunch times in there. And so, for example, on Wednesday out block, and if you'll notice on Monday, Tuesday, Friday, doesn't have any lunch time in there. So Wednesday out block, we take out the separate times designated. It would just be 11 to 1 p.m. with lunch, with 25-minute lunch designated in there. Same thing for Thursday.
And the slight adjustment that we made, we got some feedback from educators that AI sometimes felt maybe a little long. Even the days that you have lessons, generally the lessons don't last the entire time. Even honestly for intervention, although that is super important, the kids' brains get tired. So we shortened AI by 5 minutes. And to try to gain back a little instructional time, we put that into whatever class lunch has, not to increase the amount of lunch, although that would also be great. But really the idea is, even if you don't have a split lunch, students require more transition time at that time of day. So even though the periods aren't perfectly equal anymore, it probably will feel, I know I always run out of time for my 4th hour lesson, even though it's the same lesson as my other hours. Yes. Yeah. No, Clint, what else did we forget?
I think that's it. I mean, as you can tell, I mean, obviously the schedule, other than the 5 minutes and the shift to the earlier starting time, the schedule by that, right? So, and we thought that was important too, just with all the other change going on to not have too much change.
So we didn't really spend a considerable amount of time like imagining different schedules. We did a pretty deep dive in that a couple of years ago. So if we feel like that needs to be done again, just not this year.
Then what I'll do is I'll clean up that bell schedule and get it to whenever we're ready. I'll clean that up.
Yeah. I just have a question. So this part is not the part we're looking at. The schedule's not something we're looking at to negotiate agreement.
Well, it's already in there.
The schedule's already in there. Yeah.
So it would be replacing.
Just the high school schedule.
Yeah.
So middle school has nothing, okay.
Right, middle school doesn't have the actual bell schedule.
Yeah. I guess I was just looking at it, and I don't know if we want to add some language there, because I took it, we have a different schedule when it comes to the assessment time, like we're not doing certain hours, and that I'd hate to be an admin and be pulled into this if I wanted to have
There's
it
language
actually.
in there.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, special
Maybe.
schedule.
Just move. I just want to make sure, because that's I'm a rule follower too, so I'm like,
The buildings have flexibility where
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Any type of like homecoming, except for high school, homecoming assembly, any type of those special.
Gotcha.
schedules will allow for that.
So when our middle school is supposed to meet this week, is this something you guys are desiring that, and they have a similar layout like that, or?
I don't think we are talking about putting the bell schedule for middle school in.
Okay. I just want to make sure if we want it to align, okay. Okay, but you're interested in having that language, academic intervention language in secondary as well?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it'll be changed. We'll amend it, of course, to fit what we do in middle school, but yeah.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
I am Jenny Wahanick, and I'm a special education teacher in Olathe and a member of ONEA. And I had a really great experience with ONEA pretty soon after I joined. there was an email that went out that was inviting special education teachers to come together to help advocate for educator working conditions in Olathe, and that's something that I got involved with. And we were able to, as a team, hear educator voices from all over the district and kind of figure out main points that seem to be issues that we would like to work on together. And we were able to bring those as a group to Olathe admin and be able to express those concerns. And then from that, we actually saw a change in the next negotiated contract that helped to guarantee our lunch and plan time. So it's really nice to be able to see your voice make a change so quickly in an organization like ONEA.
Right now, you can join Olathe NEA and not pay until fall 2024. Join us as we teach every student every day.
I think in my mind, although sometimes I don't say things out loud that are in my mind, so I probably should do that. In my mind, the academic intervention or extension definition would probably go in the scheduling document for that level. I mean, probably figure out the placement.
Yeah, there's a description supervisory in there.
Yeah.
too, So probably.
Yeah.
It describes supervisory, so it makes sense.
Okay.
I have a question that is going to sound like a joke, but it's not.
I love those questions.
With AI having a little bit more of a global, was that something that was discussed at all about whether there needed to be any kind of change in what it was referenced to?
There is no description currently.
Okay.
So I think it was our interest to have a description.
Okay.
One that was broad enough to allow buildings the wiggle room they need to meet the needs of their students. Definitely don't want to get in the way of that. I think seminars have been part of our culture for so long that, like, I don't think we necessarily need to define that, but AI hasn't been part of our culture for a long time. And we wanted to make sure that we had some fidelity to like what it's supposed to be as we continue to change and modify.
Whatever you ask, if they were trying to give it a different.
The
name, so
acronym.
it's not confused with artificial intelligence.
Oh, I got you.
Sorry, I got
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
clarification.
I did
I
not
got
engage
you.
until I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Valley
I thought it was
Trust.
initially. Yeah, we would spell that out. It's like a hard drive.
I know in the buildings we say AI and
Yeah.
people know AI is not artificial intelligence during this, but yeah, good point. Yeah. What do you all call it at middle school? Or is it very-
Interventions, academic
Yeah,
intervention,
middle school call it
extension.
when
We call it wolf time.
they make it near here.
Yeah, I wanted to,
Yeah.
There's
But that can be tricky. No, it can be. And then that's
Yeah.
not, it's not a joke
Yeah.
question. That was
No,
a
it's a
good
good
question.
one.
Anyway.
The other AI has been quite a topic.
Yeah.
So, familiar with that.
The appraisal committee met last Thursday, I think it was last Thursday. So we're trucking along. We spent some time last week, taking a look at our draft general educator rubric and doing a little bit of mapping with our current rubric to make sure that there wasn't anything that we were missing, but also, kind of cleaning up verbiage and language to ensure common understanding and consistency. So we have a draft of that I'll clean up. We meet again coming up in May, like 16th or something. And in that meeting, we're going to dive into the student performance component to take a look at kind of how the KEEP system does that and what that looks like in comparison to how we currently utilize the student performance component in our appraisals and start working on that piece. So.
I printed the right version of the 25-26.
Because we kept, and we're in the new version.
know?
418.
I don't know how Eric gets the color.
Oh, good grief. I thought that was only on the paper. It's on this one too.
It's gonna be everywhere.
It's everywhere.
This is the latest one.
Okay. Want to talk through the challenges with this?
Yeah, so, as the county committee met, 25, 26, we've been starting to get squeezed a little bit, through the counter process because Memorial Day has been moving up by a year every year. Well, just because I guess we're lucky, in 26, Memorial Day, falls on, as you can see, May 25th. That is the earliest it will fall on in the next like 15 years. So I think the earliest it will fall on in the next 15 years so obviously this is kind of the biggest launch year as far as, we talk August 1st, we're bringing in educators to our tradition wrapped up by Memorial Day. So it really squeezed this by about a week throughout the year, to be honest with you. Because in 27, that Memorial Day actually rolls back to May 31st. So it gives us a ton more time to play with. For that reason, a couple of the bigger accommodations made in order to keep the same number of minutes / days, obviously, for attendance reasons and satisfy state requirements. We had to make a couple of accommodations to the calendar. If you'll notice, in January, that January 2nd, I believe, is a PE day now. As we talked with Jenna Cooter, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if you remember differently, Leanne, but we made that kind of that ed prep and standard 6. So it's not a real heavy day that day to kind of ease back into things. And then obviously that gave us some time back there. And then in April, where we, for example, this past week, where we had that half day attendance, and then the day on that Friday, we made that full day of students kind of also to get back some. We also had to do some, namely, part of the reason we needed to change some of those days was the attendance days, because it was really ugly how it originally fell. With the winter break, it had us coming back for a half day on Monday, which was awful. The 22nd, which was awful, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So, but in order to back that up a full day, we had to find another day, which then was part of the reason why January 2nd I got pumped up on PD. Well, we thought that was preferable to coming back for that half day to the second. Not to mention getting pretty close to the holiday there too. Day before. So the 20, we're actually looking forward to working on the 26, 27 calendar because there's a whole other week to play with. So it will be nice. Yeah.
Will the committee use, I know on the district survey, there was some feedback gathered about what our priorities for staff.
Yeah, when we get that district survey back, yes. And those are questions like, how important is it to you to, finish before Memorial Day, to have those 2 weeks and Carolina break, those types of questions.
And then our fabulous Angie found, if we're working on our cleaning up our inclusive language for conferences down at the very bottom. Still has parent teacher conferences.
So we'll
Draft
be
63.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and that's all right. The other change that we came back actually after calendar committee, Shelley had asked because online registration, I think we had it open July 7th, which was like the Monday after the holiday. Of the 4th, so she asked for her people to have it one day to make sure everything was geared up and ready to go, so we changed that to July 8th, where online registration starts versus July 7th. That was version D. So.
We're on out.
And then, yeah,
We're gonna get there.
that's right.
And then there was a cleanup on the professional development calendar. It was inclusive language as well. And
It's like on the side.
Jenna has already made the change in the correct one, or this is for 24-25. It's posted on back on the website with the correction. But as I'm just looking over it, as we work through language changes for leaves, there may be more changes that we need to make. So I'm noting that.
The domino that's
Yes.
going to stop, right?
Right, so this will probably need to be revised, so stay tuned. It's the bullet, it's the attendance bullet on. Well, I'm online on the version, but. I'll add it to our shared teams where we're working on all of the domino language and figure it out there. Well, I think the next part of the agenda is kind of working through some final drafts or, getting closer to the final versions of drafts. So I guess, do we want to launch out for leave and go from there? So in our draft consensus folder, is that where we're looking, right, Michelle? Where you did you put in the red line version that we want to look at tonight, or? Jennifer, you have access now to SharePoint, or no? I think you do, because the agenda did not turn red when I tried to.
Do you want to drop it in there, Pam?
Thank you.
Is it the same thing? Is it the same thing you emailed?
Yeah. Do you want me to try and project for you?
That would be great.
Okay. We'll see one.
Are you putting it in there, Angie?
You can attempt to do so.
I shared with Angie and Leanne last week that I was meeting with our HR leadership team because I've been kind of keeping them apprised of this PTO language, knowing that it was going to require new programming within our system and all of those things. And as we were meeting last week, and I had provided the kind of final language that we had in our folder, there were some repeated questions about what happened to paid time off at the end of the year, if there were still days remaining. So just like it does now, it would get rolled into illness bereavement leave. And so after somebody asked that, like the third time, I was like, what, is there something confusing in the language? And they were like, well, there is no language that says that anywhere. So I think it's a classic case of, when you're focused on the tree and you miss the forest kind of thing. So that was true. We did not have that in there. So we obviously need to delineate that. So I went back in and did a little bit of cleanup. And so this language that you're seeing here was our last version. And then I've tracked any changes from that last version. So you can see here, I put the acronym for paid time off here in the, under the first bullet there. And then number 2 is the same. I added a section for accumulated illness and bereavement leave. We'll get to that section here in a moment. So then paid time off, I just added the PTO acronym off to the side because throughout our document, we kept referring to PTO. So we felt like we needed to make sure everybody knew what it was we were referring to. So just delineated in here that all prior unused PTO leave carries over for the employee as accumulated illness bereavement leave.
We're kind of calling it accumulated, not accrued.
Yeah, I kept accumulated. If we think accrued or something else is, I just tried to use the language that was in our previous agreement.
In a common.
Yeah, there were a couple places I think where you will see in here that we referred to it as accrued, and I just changed it to accumulated. So I tried to do a little bit of language cleanup that I was going through. On the second paragraph here, then again, in the last sentence, that annual pay time off must be used before any accumulated leave can be used. No change in that third paragraph. These were the changes we had already agreed upon in terms of having the consecutive added for the years of service. So top of this next page is where it references the fact that there's that option to use leave for the death of a household or immediate family member. So you can see here that up to 5 days of leave in the contract will be provided to the employee at no deduction from the employee's yearly, and then I said paid time off or accumulated illness bereavement leave, so that all stayed the same. Under blackout date provisions, I didn't have any changes there. So under prolonged absences, end of the year and end of employment, here's where there's going to be a few more changes. So in numbers 1 and 2, I didn't see the changes that we needed there. Number 3, the front part of that stayed the same. Resignation or termination of employment will automatically void, and I just thought we needed to delineate and say that voids all paid time off and accumulated illness bereavement leave, except those specified in the retirement insurance benefit plan. We had the word resignation in there, and I kind of tried to come through to figure out how we had resignation in there. I'm wondering if it just accidentally got, kept in there from some previous language. And then for number 4, I kept going back and forth on this. So I'll kind of walk through my thought process and you can tell me if it seems confusing. So returning employees with paid time off remaining at the end of each contract year may roll remaining PTO to accumulated illness bereavement leave at a 1-to-1 day ratio. Exchange up to 3 days of current paid time off for 75% of the daily substitute rate at the end of each contract year. And then this last one has always been there, and that's exchange the accumulated days for contribution to the district's employees' health reimbursement account the year the employee will be retiring. So I felt like we needed to delineate that that's for staff that are returning to the district, because we said up here that if you are resigning or leaving the district, that there's not any paid out for that. So then I added this section, this is the same language previously in our current leave language. I made it a whole new section because this will be a whole new set of leave, just like it is now, and that's that accumulated illness bereavement leave, and then the definition of when that can be used, which is the same definition as what we have currently in our language. And then just the rest of this is just some renumbering, and again, cleaning up the language, that was referencing accumulated illness bereavement leave this week. Because we had accumulated paid time off, we are gonna have accumulated paid time off, so, I believe, just go here to make sure. I believe that is now, yes. Hopefully that clears up the Indian use PTO does roll over still. I think we were getting some random questions about that, and I can understand how we were getting these questions. Because we didn't have any definition of, yeah.
So when you have, so the label of accumulated illness bereavement leave, and your thought is that's the purpose that it's being accumulated, so we need to use that name in the label. How it's not just accumulated leave, it's not accumulated paid time off.
Right.
It has a purpose.
Right. Yes. Because otherwise we won't have a delineation between PTO and this kind of leave. And I'm afraid then the assumption will be that it's just all PTO, which was not our intent.
I am wondering a little bit, and I haven't worked a second in HR in my life, but you'll be tracking then paid time off that's non-discretionary, and you have this list versus accumulated illness bereavement, it's a shorter, different list of criteria. And I'm wondering if a simpler approach might just be that the accumulated time is only non-discretionary.
Well, I think though, when you talk about this list here, which is that person, that is going to, that would only be used when somebody wants to take PTO on a flat.
Right.
So what my team is currently working on is how do we develop a form for someone who wants to take a personal, PTO on a blackout day. And it may be for a non-discretionary reason, the similar process we have now. Versus if somebody's taking PTO, we really won't be asking questions unless they kick over and take more than consecutive days off. Or we'll be shooting the, we'll make sure you aren't eating in LA. Does that make sense, Eric?
I think so. Yeah.
If you have a simpler idea.
I'm not sure that I do.
Okay.
But right now, I think I just have a question.
Okay. But truly think on that, because we had a lot of discussion with our small group on, is there a better way to set this up so that the result is the same, that, makes it clear, because I think our intent is to try to be as clear as possible.
Right.
But also not have a whole bunch of questions on the front end when somebody wants to take PTO off, because I know that's more the piece of what we're working to get away from. So.
A couple of minor things.
Okay.
For under C, prolonged absences, number 4, B. You added at the end of 4, remaining at the end of each contract year. And then at the end of B, it says again at the end of each contract year. Do you think we need, maybe we do need both of them there?
I forgot I had it as a sentence above. Employees returning employees with paid time off at the end of each contract year may. I would probably could take that out.
Hey, you can take out some words, that's good.
That's right.
And then I wrote under, 3, so that's accumulated illness bereavement. So Roman numeral 3, 3A. Oh yeah, my suggestion would just be to replace brothers and sisters with siblings, because that's what it says later in the list.
Where does it say brother?
It's underneath, it's 3A. Immediate family members include the employee's parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, grandchildren. So since we, yep, easy.
Okay, awesome. The other thing that my team was asking about was the grandparent leave, because then or no, yes, for adoption. Yeah, that's somewhere. No, I don't think we did.
The only place it's in this policy anyways.
Yeah, so that was the other thing that was caught, that was like, so grandparent leave isn't a thing anymore. I was like, oh, pretty sure we were continuing with honoring grandparent leave, but we didn't have it in the language, so. Somehow this whole little section got left out. You're welcome. Glad we caught it now.
Words.
Oh, no, the second one.
Do you have one additional copy on it? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Here's one.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, we have one.
Sorry. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
This is no different than we've seen before. Actually, Thomas, you said the way we wrote it was perfectly fine. I just put all of one nice blue paragraph on the back. We go with the policy GAOE. Is the only other thing remaining of the 1,000 edits that you made. I don't know if it's as simple as workers' comp leave. Please see policy GAOE, and just put at the very bottom of the long list, or if it makes sense to have it anywhere in the list, but I don't think there's any rhyme or reason for the types of things in leave policy. Or there was a note that we would make a reference to.
A reference to
within
it.
the leave policy, so Michelle, please put at the very bottom and say workers' comp leave. Please refer to policy GAOE.
Or would it be better on the list?
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
So maybe put it above under approved absences.
Maybe. I
I'll
mean, literally,
have
it's a
to read
pointer
that.
over to the policy.
Right.
It's a more we got to read out the budget.
That's what I was gonna say, you got it open. Can we
I
just-
buffed up on Roman numerals.
Throw it right in. So thank you, Chris, for some of the issues on this. Protocol was a good one.
Current state of life.
Gosh, tell me again how you worded
I would-
that.
I think it's as simple as workers' comp leave is the heading, and right underneath it, please refer to policy GAOE. I don't think we would be saying assault, it's, go see the policy, see the type of leave that's available.
Does it matter if the word accrued versus, what was the other word that you used? Accumulated, does that matter? We.
Oh, yeah, it
Consistency.
shouldn't be.
Oh, yeah.
Debbie.
Yeah. Final draft, I'm going to have it in your final.
I will change that right now, so. Just give me 2 minutes.
You can keep quiet down there.
So now, is the next step, it's just like, it goes to the board and like,
For the board.
for the board to approve and.
GAOE.
It's a good
Yeah.
question. Would go at the same time as the negotiated agreement.
I don't think it necessarily would need to, right, because this is its own thing now that, yeah, so it can go whenever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Do it. Yeah. Also, fix it.
All right. There you go.
So I put it in a student sabbatical and other absence.
I think you've got these in the draft consensus. Cleaned up GBI, GBK.
Oh, that was it. Whether,
Oh, I skipped right over that. Never mind. Yeah, sorry about that. No. I skipped over the inclement weather. So sorry.
You have
Two more here comes.
These are the leftovers.
we had referenced, part of the ranchers with specific, employee groups that we talked about. And I was talking, together for this week, I referenced some language that was in the form I had for the AV plan. Sheet, and she referenced the language she had, and we were looking at 2 different sheets, because apparently there's 2 different versions.
We're like literally on the Zoom, I'm like, what do you have?
Yeah. And then it was like, well, what's the one that Todd emailed out? That was the date on that one. So, I think what happened was, if you look on the back, I'm putting on the graphic at the top with the school bus, but on the side of the time, the school bus at the top. That was some language that was kind of our final version, that came out last July, I guess, when we kind of developed that. And then the version of the school bus on the top, I just cleaned up a little bit by graphics and kind of used kind of that forward-facing document. They put graphics and it was pretty, and formatting was a lot better than us that don't have skills in that area. So that's why they look a little bit different. But the only difference in the wording was, I think they shortened out where it says 12-month administrators, and then we include 12-month certified and classified employees. So that clarification, that's when they said, oh yeah, well, if it's in that means our interest. So the original document actually already said that. So we will make sure that we get the versions consistent, have those match.
I think we're done with those for this year.
Yeah, hopefully we're good. Well, it's cold as fuck.
So we'll add 12 months.
Yeah, it's right. And say, yeah. 12 months.
Yeah.
We're gonna have them see. This is just going to be, you know.
Probably we can write never say never. And then we have to talk about the GBI, GBK that is in the draft folder. There's a red line in there, and then also the final PDF. Well, and basically that just removed the.
You did, I mean, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Realize I forgot to send it to you.
Yeah, thank you. I got it. I don't know PDF. So that basically just removed the language at the top of the policy where it said policy will sunset at the beginning of the 24-25 school year and refer to previous policy from 21-22 school year.
And then I think the last thing on this agenda item is is it the policy review committee or language review committee, whatever our fall committee was.
Yeah.
We went through and looked at the entire NA and looked for language that needed to be updated. And so I'm working through each of the policies. Right now, the recommendations are in there, so I'll keep popping in all the policies that are updated so that they'll be ready for the final version of the negotiated agreement as well. And I think that's it for this week.
Legislator comes back on Thursday.
Oh,
Yeah,
so we may have.
some closure. Work on it. Great. Yeah. So our next meeting is Tuesday, not tomorrow. The 30th, yes. It's back at the Ed Center.
I'll keep everybody on the toes.
That's tomorrow, right? That's
Yes,
that's
yeah.
tomorrow, yeah.
When I was an educator in Olathe, working with Olathe NEA was my gateway to leadership roles. In my time in the district, I got to serve as a building rep, an executive board member, a negotiations team member, and vice president. And as a result of that experience, I was also selected to chair our BLT. I was able to take all of those wonderful leadership experiences with me as I ran for the Kansas House of Representatives in 2016. Serving on legislative committees, speaking in front of the chamber, serving in caucus leadership were far less daunting because Olathe NEA empowered and trained me to be an advocate for my community already. NEA now even offers a See Educators Run training program designed specifically to support educators running for office. Olathe NEA was crucial to my professional and leadership development.
I went to a meeting and I heard the passion in all of their voices, and I felt like I had found my people. They were talking about supporting their fellow teachers and how can we make school better. This work can't be done alone. We need each other.
This is the first time that I've ever actually had a job that had an association. I was like, all right, sign me up. I put myself up there and I got voted in. I like every minute of it so far. We had negotiations, which were really good negotiations. It means a great deal to me, like being the voice of our drivers.
We are the union collectively. Our voice can make a difference, and that can impact our students and help with their success.